So MLB The Show just dropped the second stage of Team Affinity, being the Color Storm cards. And today I'm going to be going over who you guys should be prioritizing when doing these grinds. You know, what cards are better than others. And I'm going to rank them all 30 of them on a tier list. So let's get into it. Starting off with the D tier, we have Jake Cronenworth, Jared Jones, Victor Scott, Nico Herner, Josh Lowe, and Ezekiel Tovar. So starting off the D tier, we have Jake Cronenworth, and look, I don't necessarily think any of the 30 cards are bad. Like, they're all good cards that will be serviceable. Like, this Jake Cronenworth will be serviceable for your team, but when you rank them against all the other ones, the guys in the D tier are just not as good as other cards. Jake Cronenworth is a prime example. He'll be a pretty good hitter for both contact. He has good power against righties, good clutch. He has decent defense as well, but I just feel like other cards are better. It's kind of the same thing with this Jared Jones card. This card has bad per nines for this stage of the power creep with 87 and 83. He does have 100 pitching clutch, which helps him for sure. He throws hard. They did give him a sinker though. But, you know, like, besides that, the 12-6 is the worst curveball in this game. It is really ineffective. Speed differentials are not there on the slider and changeup. Not the best control and break outside of the four seam. There are better pitchers in this Team Affinity program. No disrespect to Victor Scott, but I think this was like the least, energized I was for any of the 30 cards. Like, he's not awful. He has high contact and clutch, and he has good defense and maxed out speed. But it just doesn't wow me. He has no power, no vision, no discipline. And there are other cards who are a much better hitter and have similar defense and even some speed too. Nico Herner is kind of the same thing. He has high contact vision and clutch, great defense, and pretty solid speed. But I've never really liked his swing. I've never liked his cards. He has no power, no discipline. And before you guys criticize me for, crapping on guys with no power, I have a guy with no power very high in this tier list. There's a specific reason why, which I'll get into. But regardless, Nico Herner, just don't like his swing. I like other cards better than Nico Herner. For the Rays, we have Josh Lowe, and I'm going to be honest, this is probably the worst card out of the 30. Maybe Jared Jones is worse, maybe Victor Scott. But this guy, at least Victor Scott has elite speed and defense and, has good contact across the board. Josh Lowe, not good offensively besides, contact right and kind of power right. Good clutch, but defense not amazing, not awful. And speed is pretty good, but doesn't really bring much. Rounding out the D tier, we have Ezekiel Tovar. His offensive numbers are just not even remotely close to all the other cards in this program. Yeah, he has elite defense, but offensive attributes are much more valuable than defensive attributes. Not saying the 99 fielding and 98 reaction isn't valuable, but we have priorities here. Moving on to the C tier, we have Andrew Benintendi, Keibert Ruiz, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Michael Wacha, JT Realmuto, and Sal Frelick. Starting off the C tier, we have Andrew Benintendi from the White Sox, and I got to admit, hitting-wise, he's probably near A. He's just so bad defensively, and he doesn't have good speed, and so many of the outfielders in this program have similar offensive numbers, but better defense, better speed, and more secondaries. This one might be a little controversial, but I have Keibert Ruiz in the C tier. Now, he brings a lot of value. He's a switch-hitting catcher who has high contact, vision, and clutch. That alone will give you some value. He doesn't have much power, which is higher than the other guys who don't have power, being 71 and 69. But he has no discipline. He can't field. He can't block. So that's going to knock catchers down if they can't field at all. Now, Lourdes Gurriel cards in the past have been pretty solid. I actually like his swing, but I gotta say, this Lourdes Gurriel is not as good as his past cards. And there's one big reason, and that is the secondary positions. Obviously, this year they've, cut down on secondaries, which I actually like. But Lourdes Gurriel in the past has always had so many secondaries. It was left, center, right, first, second, third. It was awesome, and he was a good hitter. And while this card isn't an awful hitter, he's nothing special besides the contact versus lefties. Michael Wacha is going to be in the C tier. The only reason why I have him above Jared Jones, on paper attributes-wise, he's a little worse than Jared Jones, but I would much rather pitch with Michael Wacha than Jared Jones because he also has velocity, but he has a great pitch mix, and he kind of has a funky arm slot, so I'll give him the boost over Jared Jones. Also has elite control and break for his top 3 pitches. but overall, there are just better pitchers in this program, meaning that he's not going to be that high. JT Realmuto is also going to be in the C tier. He's kind of different to Keibert Ruiz. JT Realmuto, 90s contact and clutch, low 80s power, so he's a more balanced hitter than Keibert Ruiz, but he isn't a switch hitter. I think he's better offensively than Keibert Ruiz. And actually, no, I think they're about the same. Defensively, Realmuto is better and he has solid speed, but I just can't really take this card too seriously. I just don't know what it is. There's just nothing that wows me offensively, and you need some of that to go into B tier at least. And then lastly, we have Sal Frelick in the C tier. I feel like this card is Victor Scott, but better. I think he has better contact, better vision, think better clutch, maybe a little worse clutch, but he's basically the same card, but just better offensively. He has better defense and worse speed, but he still has 94 speed with 70 stealing and aggressiveness. And he can play all three spots. I think this card's better, but not by much. Moving up to the B tier, we have Bo Naylor, Nick Lodolo, Brian Wu, Luis Heel, Colton Cowser, and Jung Ho Lee. Moving on to the B tier, we have another catcher in Bo Naylor, and Bo Naylor is clearly the best catcher in the Team Affinity program, unless I'm forgetting someone that I can't look at my tier list. This card is clearly better than Keibert Ruiz on offense and defense. Same thing for JT Realmuto, maybe a little worse defensively than JT Realmuto, but I would much rather take Bo Naylor than those guys. Contact is around the same, power is better, clutch is around the same, defense is better, if not the same. Bo Naylor is the best catcher in this program. Nick Lodolo is a guy who I loved in MLB The Show 20, his Future Stars card. This card was a little underwhelming, I gotta say. The per 9s are low, 84, 87, 88 clutch. Really, especially in hits per 9, would like that to be higher. But everything else, I mean, he kind of has it besides that fifth pitch. I think if we had higher per 9s and a fifth pitch, he would probably go to S tier, I'm going to be completely honest. But he doesn't. I feel like Brian Wu is a perfect example of a card that's a tier above another card, and that card being Michael Wacha. Brian Wu has better hits per 9. He has a better pitch mix. He has better velocity. He has pretty solid control. Not the best break, but I would take Brian Wu over Wacha in a heartbeat. That hits per 9 makes a huge difference being at 95. The clutch is a little low at 84, especially the case per 9 being 73. That is really low. Those two are really holding him back, but overall a pretty good pitcher. Now, Luis Heel for my New York Yankees, I think that he is a B tier starter. He has a decent pitch mix. There are a few problems with this card. Let me start with the positives. He has 104 hits per 9, which is good. 125 pitching clutch from a starter. That is unheard of. That alone will guarantee you into B tier. He has insane velocity. I'm pretty sure, he doesn't have outlier, but he throws super hard. His pitch mix could be better. Four-seam slider, circle change, sinker. If he had a fifth pitch like a cutter or something, or a sweeper, this card would be better. And his control is god-awful. And it makes sense. I mean, I watched this guy play 1 every 5 stars last year. He struggles with command, and that's, it's going to hurt you in ranked seasons when you have really big pars with these pitchers. But overall, still a good card. Colton Cowser is going to round off the B tier. Actually, there's one more guy, but Colton Cowser, great power versus right. He's much better against righties than lefties. Still serviceable against lefties. That clutch is just so awful. 76 clutch, very bad. You need clutch to help you when you have a bad contact number like the contact left. It doesn't. His defense is amazing though. 90 fielding, 99 arm, and he has pretty good speed. Can play left, center, and right. So for the power numbers, the defense, and the speed, can play all 3 spots. He's going to go into B tier. He just needs better contact and clutch. Jung Ho Lee is another contact hitter in this program. 96, 99 contact, 100 vision, 108 clutch. I actually like this card more than the other ones. He's a lefty. He can play all 3 spots with 99 arm and 80 speed. He has better power numbers. He is around the same contact. The difference is he can play 3 positions, and I would prefer this card over the others. Moving on to the A tier, we have Masataka Yoshida, Jack Leiter, Xavier Edwards, Royce Lewis, Brent Rooker, and Javier Baez. Starting off the A tier, we have Masataka Yoshida, and I was really surprised by this card. This card is great. 120 contact right, 94 contact left, 87-80 for power, so he meets the 80 threshold for both sides. Great vision, good clutch. The defense is just what holds this card back from S tier. This is an S tier offensive card. If his defense was like in the silver range, or like if he was high 60s, low 70s across the board, he'd probably go into S tier. This Jack Leiter card is pretty solid. You know, four-seam slider, sinker, curve, change, pretty good pitch mix. Doesn't have outlier, but he still throws super hard. He has hits per 9, 92, has the clutch at 90. Case per 9 is a little low, but it's fine. Control could be a little better, but it's also fine. Same with break. This card I think is better than Woo, it's better than Waka, it's better than all those guys because he has the hits per 9 and the clutch and the velo and the pitch mix. Now, I was excited for Xavier Edwards because I actually liked his bronze card in BR. I did not think he was going to be this good. This is the perfect example of how you do a good contact hitter. Xavier Edwards is elite 120 contact, 103 contact left. Those are really high numbers, which is great. 109 vision, 103 discipline, 106 clutch. Very low power, 5139, which is obviously the reason and defensively why he's not S tier. But if you were looking for a leadoff guy, you need a middle infielder, I highly recommend this card. He's going to get a bunch of singles. He's going to be a demon on the base paths. He can also play second. This is a perfect contact hitter. I just think that he's not as good as the 6 guys I have in S tier. Royce Lewis cards, I really love his swing. This is a great card on paper. 90, 97 contact, great. 107, 78 power. You would like power left to be a little higher, but you can survive with the 97 contact and the great clutch. He has good defense, 85 fielding, 85 reaction. The negatives are very slim, but I think it holds them back from S tier. Number 1 is the arm. You need a good arm at third base. He does not have it. He can only play third base. I just feel like that is super important, and some other guys have a good arm, and this card doesn't have it. Man, Brent Rooker is very good in this game. This card is very good offensively. 95, 99 contact, 101, 108 power, 95 clutch. Obviously S tier offense. That defense is just so god-awful. It's pretty self-explanatory. S tier hitter, D tier defensive player, but you know, he'll still be really good at DH. He won't be terrible, but those attributes are just really bad. Rounding out the A tier, we have Javi Baez. What a renaissance so far this year. He's finally coming back to form, but this card overall is very solid. You know, I don't think anything in this card screams S tier besides clutch and maybe defensive flexibility, but nothing screams below A. I mean, he's got 87, 87, 86 for contact right power left. You know, you add the contact left and the clutch to that. Defensively, he's in the gold. He has a great arm, can play short, third, and center. Has enough speed for center field too. I think this is a perfect example of an A tier card. Not enough for S tier, but very good. And finally, moving on to the S tier, we have Mark Vientos, Blake Trinan, Ben Joyce, Austin Riley, Brian Abreu, and Jeff Hoffman. Mark Vientos is going to start the S tier. I think this card is better than Royce Lewis. He has better contact, better power, I think a little worse clutch. He has a little worse defense, but his arm is good enough at third base. You know, it's in the 80s. This card is going to be amazing offensively. He'll be able to throw guys out. He'll be fine defensively. I think this is one of the best cards in Color Storm. Blake Trinan, I mean, this is a no-brainer. Blake Trinan cards are always elite. This card's elite. Pitching clutch 123, hits per 9 108. He has outlier. He doesn't have outlier, but he's still amazing. Sweeper, sinker, cutter, four-seam, good control and break. Easy S tier. Here's the second of 4 relievers. They're all in the S tier. They're all amazing. This Ben Joyce is amazing. Great per 9s, 114, 105, 113 clutch. He has double outlier on the four-seam and the sinker. He has a good pitch mix. The control could be a little better, but the break is amazing. Speed differentials, S tier. Austin Riley is another third baseman who I think deserves S tier. I think you can compare him to Mark Vientos. This card, great contact, great clutch, a little lower power versus righties, but still 80. A little better defensively. Doesn't have insane arm strength, but he has arm accuracy. And you gain a little speed with Austin Riley. I also love Austin Riley's swing. S tier for me. Here's another reliever, Brian Abreu. Great per 9s, great clutch, great velo. He throws really hard on the four seam. Doesn't have outlier, but he'll be touching 100. great control and break. This card is S tier. And then the last card in this tier list is the 4th reliever. I have all 4 relievers in Color Storm in S tier. These are all very well done. Great per nines, great clutch, great velocity again, great pitch mix, great speed differentials, good enough control, elite break, S tier for Hoffman for sure. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. If you guys are new here, follow me on all my social medias, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. But most importantly, make sure you subscribe on here on YouTube. So yeah, see you guys next one. Peace.